welcome back to another edition of the Paranormal Voice Live here on a Tuesday night special edition, guys. It is so good to have everybody here. It is going to be a fantastic night. Three amazing people coming your way very shortly. But before I bring these guys out, just got to say a big shout out to our sponsor of this month. And of course, it is the Haunted Western Block right there in Lockport, New York. If you are looking for a paranormal vacation, this is definitely the place to go and check out. Lockport is it is a 200-year-old facility that is very active, and it's right there, just 20 minutes from Niagara Falls, New York. Guys, go on down there, check these guys out. You can do public tours, private tours, uh, just about anything. So the QR code is on the screen, so you guys can go down, check these guys out. And it's very close by to a lot of other haunted attractions, of course. The Hinsdale House is close by, and then you got Palmyra, New York, the Palmyra Museum, another pretty active place. So yeah, and also there is a few other places that are slipping my mind right now, but yes, it is in the all in the area. Like each one of these locations are about an hour of each other. So yeah, if you guys are looking for a paranormal destination, Lockport, New York, Haunted Western Block is definitely a place to be. Go over, check those guys out. Tell Heather and Frank I said hi from the Paranormal Voice. We are hoping to get down there really soon to do a live broadcast from the Western Block. It's always an amazing time there. That place never disappoints. So I want to thank you once again to our sponsor, the Haunted Western Block, right there in Palmyra, in Lockport, New York. And with that, guys, we are going to get back to the show right now. I've got three amazing guests coming your way right now. It's always to me, it's always sometimes my brain works really slow, and I don't put puzzle pieces together. But when they click, boy, do they click. And I'll tell you, it's like you're friends with people on Facebook for so long and you don't realize, like, they're a paranormal team, but you don't realize, like, what they're all doing because, everybody's doing a lot of things. And especially with the spooky season, you see more and more. But you see one of them post something and you go, oh, that looks pretty cool. You check it out. And then you realize, holy crap, they actually have a full blown series out there on the Netflix of the paranormal world. It's called Paraflux, of course. Lots of great shows out there. Go and check out those guys. It's really cheap for a subscription to Paraflex, and they've got a lot of amazing shows over there. You can get paranormal podcasts, you can get series, you can get documentaries. They have all kinds of things. So go check out Paraflex. They are amazing. And my guests today are exactly that. They do have a couple of shows on Paraflex, and we're going to be talking about, of course, their show. And they are the stars of Hometown Haunts. So right now, let's bring out Lyle and Tonna.
You got it.
You got it.
And of course, their other part, Brandon. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the Paranormal Voice. It's so good to see you guys and get to pick you guys' brain. And like I said, it was so funny because I've been friends with Tonna for a while. And then like I said, my brain works very slow at times because I never put links together that, oh my God, this is her stuff. And I thought, well, maybe she's just friends with these guys and likes to promote their stuff until I clicked on it. And there you guys were in the flesh. And I was like, so cool. So thank you guys. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
So you guys are up there in the Virginia area, which is a pretty amazing area. I love going up to Virginia. I've been up there for the last 2 years. This is the first year I missed going up to Virginia because it never disappoints. I always find something interesting on my travels on the way up there. I think the first year I went up there, I actually went and did a tour of the house that George Washington grew up in. It's just around the corner of King George, Virginia there.
Yeah.
So a lot of interesting areas. Every time I go up there, I'm like, I'm gonna have to spend longer and longer up here because there's so many. You don't realize. I mean, I'm from Canada, so I know a lot about American history, but I never realized, like, I just discovered, like, Washington, like the White House was an hour away from King George, Virginia. So I was like, holy crap, in here I'm thinking on the other side of the world. And I went up last year, and it was the first time I've ever seen the White House in person, because as us Canadians, we hear a lot about the White House. So it was very exciting for me to see, and here you guys are trekking around Virginia and doing all this ghost hunting and posting it on Paraflex. This is so awesome. So guys,
absolutely,
yeah.
Well, thank you for having us.
So the only serious question I have, I mean, because I like to have a lot of fun, I want to know what got each of you into the paranormal, and how did you guys meet?
Look at that guy down there.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
you were pointing to the QR codes. I was kind of wondering. Long story short, I had an experience when I was 10 years old at a hotel here in Virginia. I saw my first full body apparition, and been kind of chasing that ever since. That I've always been interested in the paranormal. My parents loved the TV shows I grew up with, In Search of, Haunted History, Histories, Mysteries, all of those cool old OG shows. And when I had that first encounter, it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe this does exist. Did I dream it up? Was it real? And to this day, that impression has always been with me. And I can't remember things from 3 days ago, but I remember what that little kid looked like to a T.
Right. Yeah.
But as far as meeting Lyle and them, like we said before, stone's throw away. I was with a previous team for a while. Kind of left, did my own thing for a while. Ran into Lyle at Food Lion, and it's been love ever since.
It has been.
Gotta like that budding bromance,
That's right.
It's like, how does that conversation come up in a food in a line at a food land, going, oh, by the way, I'm going out to hunt ghosts. Oh, you're into ghosts.
There was two major teams in the area, the one I was with, and then Lyle, and then had Twisted Paranormal Society. And when I branched off to kind of do my own thing, I always like having a second pair of eyes on anything I may capture. So I just hit up Lyle, like, hey man, I'm kind of doing my thing on my own now. If I send you some stuff, if it's any cool stuff. And next thing I know, I got an invite to carry a camera on the Twisted Realm, our flagship show. And again, it's been true love all these years later.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Great find.
How about you, Lyle?
Well, my story doesn't really kind of have a backstory to the paranormal. It's more or less was a fascination to it. I always tell this thing, it's like, Tonna and I, before we moved into the house that we're in right now, we would always sit in the kitchen. We had a little puppy, and we just didn't want to run around the house. So, hey, Scuba.
Hey, Scuba.
So we basically, we would sit in the kitchen, we'd watch Ghost Hunters, or we'd watch Paranormal State, or we'd watch Ghost Adventures, or whatever was on. And when we got into this house we're in now, we were just like, we were still watching the shows. We were like, I wonder what it'd be like to go do that. And kind of in 2011, the guy that was basically the leader of the team that he came from, we reached out to him to see if he was accepting any members, and he was full at the time. And he kind of mentored us into getting started. And we started in June, July of 2011, kind of forming a team. It's basically friends and family members and stuff like that. Over the years, it's grown. I mean, at one point we had probably, I would say we probably close to 15, 16 people.
Yeah, it was way too many.
But it was way too many, and it gets to be too many, just too many people to manage when it came to it. So basically what we did then, I didn't turn it all off. It's okay. We'll turn it off. So basically what I did was, or what we did was, we just kind of decided to go ahead. We worked with it a little bit, and then people just started dwindling out. And that's in 2000, I want to say it was 2017. Brandon, wasn't it? Probably we met.
Taylor 15 and beginning of 17.
Yeah, we had already started. We had a DVD series called The Twisted Realm going. And it was one of the first little paranormal shows that was on PBS, believe it or not. And so we started way back then. And then we started, doing a little bit more than DVD stuff and getting a little more into the production side. Then Brandon, of course, we knew he carried a camera. He was good with his photography, good with all that stuff. So we asked him, would you like to come and help film and do stuff like that? And then a year later, he became a member of the team. And then we finally got down to our core four. I want to say it was probably in 2020, 2021 timeframe.
Yeah.
And we've been going ever since with that. That was for the Twisted Realm series. Then we had some members from RVA Paranormal that came on board a little bit, John and Lynn Harris, to help us with that. And we filmed quite a few different things for the Twisted Realm, but then our flagship now, really Hometown Haunts. We started that back in 2020. I want to say it was 2023.
Yeah.
It's when we did our first filmings. Hometown Haunts was created to, you know what? Let her tell her story before we get into all of that. How about you tell him how you got into the paranormal?
Okay. Mine is really different. My mom, when I was young, was into parapsychology. As a matter of fact, she was taking parapsychology classes. And some of the stuff that I would see her do, at first, it kind of freaked me out because I was like, what the heck is she doing? But at the same time, it interested me. And I wondered for many years, is it real? The stuff that she was doing and the stuff that she talked about. And come to find out that even my grandfather used to talk about seeing things. He would see soldiers and all that. So I think it's kind of, in a way, running in family, if you want to call it that, the interest in it. So with all that, my interest just grew and grew and grew until, when we started watching the shows. And then I thought, all this that I've seen all my life, I want to see if there's really something to this. So, it was, my mom told me some stories that were pretty interesting. And then how we met, high school. Right?
Yep.
High school.
And that's the amazing part. I can really relate to Brandon. My paranormal experiences started when I was 8 years old. So I tell a lot of people, I don't even know what life is like not knowing what paranormal activity is, because it's been around me for so long that, to me, when I say the paranormal is normal, it is my normal. I don't know what it's. I don't know how normal people live, because I've experienced it so often and so much throughout my childhood and into my adulthood, and even more so as things happen in my life. I seem to gain more and more abilities. I don't. I'm not a psychic, but I have things that happen to me, and I don't know why they happen to me or how they happen to me. So, but it's just been always a part of me, and I tell people, it's like, you don't know what you're missing, because I find it's fascinating.
Oh yeah.
And everybody's always like, oh, charming in here, our good friend
What's
Kim
up, Kim?
Sage.
Kim?
Hello,
Hey,
Kim.
Kim. Hey.
But and I just like, I don't, and everywhere I go, I seem to attract. I don't know if you have that that same thing, Brandon, or you guys as well, but it seems no matter where I go, to a funeral, I always see a shadow figure hanging out in the in the funeral home, and I'm just like, So yeah, it's pretty freaky, but I enjoy it. I love it, and and now here I am. This show here is about 4 years old now, and I'll tell you,
Nice.
Awesome.
it never ceases to amaze me the amazing guests that I get to come out and talk about their experiences. So I'm going to ask. Uh, it could have happened to you guys all at the same place. If you guys can tell me the most freakiest thing that's ever happened to you guys, most memorable, something that will. I mean, I know Brandon kind of touched on it because got him sparked into the paranormal, but maybe Brandon, maybe you could think outside of that, something else that has happened to you that now, like you said, you can't remember what you did 3 days ago, but this you can remember detail for detail.
For that one.
So I'll let
Yeah.
any of you guys go for that one. I want to know
No,
what's
yeah.
the most memorable one.
You guys go first on this one.
Good, the bad, the ugly.
You can tell him the bad. Tell him the bad one.
Okay. The bad one was pretty bad. It was actually in the early years.
2013.
Yeah, 2013, when we hadn't been doing it that long. And Tonna didn't know about protecting herself or putting the guard up, and didn't realize how open I was. Found out real quick. We were at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. I'm sure everybody's heard of Old South. And this was, of course, when the other owners were still there, the ones that are no
Very
longer there.
first owners. Caretakers.
And long story short, I still have a hard time telling this, but long story short, my gut was telling me do not go up on the third floor. But what did I do? I decided to go against my gut feelings, and I went up. And while all this is on film too, all this is documented.
Yep.
I went up and I started feeling off, and I told, he's usually with me, and he wasn't with me this time. And I told the other crew members, I said, guys, I need to get out of here. Something's wrong. I need to go. And I started getting real emotional. And by the time they got me to the steps, I couldn't walk down them. They had to help me down the steps. They got me down to the main floor where I collapsed. And they were yelling for Lyle to come. And by the time they got me to the break room, I was so cold that they had to put several blankets around me to get me to warm up. I couldn't talk for several minutes. And we have had friends watch the documentation of this, and they said, Tonna, that's not you. It looks nothing like me. That almost made me quit this. But now when I look back on it, I'm able to say it taught me a lot, and it's made me stronger. So, but yeah, I'll never forget that.
That was a great way to start our big time.
Yeah.
He's not lying. I've seen the footage one time, and it looks at her face. It's not her. And I have not watched it since. I watched it one time, and I didn't finish it.
Wow.
We have a YouTube page called Twisted Paranormal Society, and it's actually there. You know, you can go down there and watch those couple episodes. I think we made it a 2-parter. It was part of our DVD series, stuff like that too. But yeah, it was a very strange. That was a strange weekend.
Well, and the picture that you guys got, there was a picture taken, and the picture that they caught was a figure that was, it had one human leg, one peg leg, and the face looks like a pig face. So,
wow.
If you've never been to Old South, 3rd floor, the old stories of the bad spirit that's up there. I think he showed up that night, and but yeah, that was a rough weekend. It was a rough start. I thought our paranormal time was done. I thought we were done. I was really getting going then. I was like, oh boy, here we go. So, but But that was an interesting one there. Now we're almost telling our, we've actually told our story on my paranormal experience. I know Brandon, he shared his first. Tonna just shared hers. Now, the one that I'm going to share is one that basically Tonna and I both experienced the same thing. But back in 2013, this was right before we did Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Yeah.
We were a part of an event company. I can't remember what the name of it was, but they were doing an event out at Emily Morgan Hotel in San Antonio, right beside the Alamo, the big Gothic hotel there. So we went out there, we went and set up, and we met Mark and Debbie Constantino. Of course, they're no longer with us, but we met them and we were helping them. We talked our way into being their helpers for that night. That they were bringing in all these people that paid to come see them. So before we did our thing, the four of us all went on a tour of the Emily Morgan Hotel. And we started down, of course, in the basement area where, the morgue, all that kind of stuff, boiler room areas, stuff like that. We had a nice guy that was taking us around. He was in bellboy attire, Hispanic gentleman. And basically we went through that whole process there. The next stop was going up to floor number 14, which is supposedly the haunted floor of the hotel. Mm-hmm. So we all got into this little tiny service elevator. I don't know how we all fit in it. And then we went up to floor 14, did our check there, came back down, did a couple other areas that we had to do. And then, of course, we broke up there and went our separate ways until it was time to do the event. Well, when it was time to start, we went up to Mark and Debbie's room. That's where everybody was meeting. We were sitting there watching them do their EVP experience stuff that they do. And then they asked Tonna and I, can you guys go down and get the key to go so we could go down to those lower areas that they had showed us to. So we go down to get the key. We go to the desk, walk up and say, hey, we're with the paranormal thing. We're supposed to be going on a tour. We're supposed to be getting the key for the boiler room. That used to be the morgue area and everything down there in the basement. And some of these other areas. And they kind of looked at us like, what the hell are you talking about? That was a good start. What the hell are you talking about? So we said, no. They said, what are you talking? So it was, no, we were just here earlier. We basically went on a tour. You had one of your guys, bellboy guy, that took us around, Hispanic guy. And now we're back to get the keys. And they just looked at us like we were freaking crazy. They said, what are you talking about? Nobody can go in those areas down there. And we're like, what the hell? And I said, no. I said, we've got to keep these keys. We've got a bunch of people going down there. He said, sorry, sir, we don't give those keys to anybody. Nobody goes down in those areas. So I said, well, how did your person take us down there? And they said, well, who was it again? I said, well, he was wearing bellboy. He was wearing nice burgundy hat and all that stuff. And Hispanic guy. They said, we don't have any bellboys here that look like that. And we're like, what are you talking about? Yeah. So we had to go back up empty-handed with Mark and Debbie saying, look, they're saying we're crazy. They don't have a bellboy here that did that. And that's right. Before we went back up, one of the other things I said to him, I said, well, your guy actually took us in the service elevator all the way up to the 14th floor. And they look at each other and they look back at us. They said, the service elevator doesn't work. If you can understand. It just keeps building and it keeps building.
Oh my God.
So we go back up and we tell these people, tell Mark and Debbie, hey, we can't get the keys. What are we going to do? So we just, we hung around. We did go down in certain other little areas, but needless to say, this story, it never really caught on.
Yeah.
Until we started getting ready, talking about our experiences for my paranormal experience. Yeah. And then I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about bellboy, Hispanic, and I researched it, and I got on there and I found the exact outfit, uniform, and it was a Mexican soldier during the Battle of the Alamo that took us around the building. He never really communicated with us. He only smiled.
Yeah, he never
He waved. He smiled. He'd take us to all these areas. And needless to say, he just was gone.
I got
So
goosebumps.
that I love telling that story because it's one of those ones where you just cannot believe
Mm-mm.
what we. If Mark and Debbie were here today,
Yeah.
they were the same way as us.
Yeah.
When it came to that. And after that, we got really close after that because that was an experience that all four of us freaking shared, not
Yeah.
knowing. And but
Yeah.
that was mine.
Yeah.
That was ours, actually. We were
Yeah.
both a part of it. We rode in the elevator that didn't work.
Yeah.
That
And all these different things.
I love that story.
yeah, we're coming back to that because that's
that was a
the
long
type of
story, but-
experience I've heard many stories. I mean, if anybody knows John Ellie Tunney,
Uh-huh.
he's got slews of those types of stories of him talking to people and they're not really there. But
Right.
well, I've got questions, and I want to know.
Gotcha.
I want to know. I want to hear what you guys think
I
about
love
that.
that story.
But Brandon, what did you come up with?
With the exception of the kid, the two that stick out, one is interesting and one I can't explain. One is at the Sorrel Weed House in Savannah, Georgia. The carriage house, which is now considered a duplex, we were doing isolation sessions in there. So one person go in, one person go in. It was my turn to go in. I had my camera up and I was looking around, flashlight. It was dark. All of a sudden, I looked over. I saw a cabinet door open on its own and slammed shut so hard that dust fell down. And I turn around and ever so gracefully haul ass out of the building or run out like, okay, because that freaked me out because I'm still kind of new to the paranormal investigation with the group kind of thing. And I was like, well, that's great. I have it on film. And looked down and I never hit record. Camera wasn't even turned on. So there's a lesson to be learned there. But the one that's kind of interesting, I'm a big fan of cold cases of true crime. We spent the night in the Lizzie Borden house in 2015. And Lizzie Borden, everybody knows that story. Well, we did a Ouija board session in the room where Abby was found in, her stepmother. Didn't get much. We did a spirit box session. And it's rare to get the same voice over and over and over again. But it's also rare to get the same voice saying the same thing over and over and over again. And it kept on saying the word sledge, 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 sledge. And we even moved locations. It kept on saying sledge, sledge, sledge. So it got me wondering if that was the nickname of somebody? Was that somebody's, is that the person that really committed the crimes? You could really go down a deep rabbit hole. But I stayed upstairs, and it wasn't the maid Bridget's room, the main maid. But there was a separate side room where some of the kids slept, and that was my room of the night. And I was laying there. All of a sudden, I looked over, and my closet door slowly opened. Like, okay, no sleep tonight. This is not going to happen. So I laid there ever so slightly, looking at the ceiling, kind of like looking over every 15 seconds. When I looked back, it was completely shut. I didn't see it shut. I didn't hear it shut, but it was shut. Not only was it shut, it was shut and latched.
Wow.
So I can't explain it. Well, maybe not latched, but it was shut enough to where I knew it wasn't like folding back open. Yeah. So I can't explain it. But that was kind of interesting to get the same word over and over and over.
Yeah, that's a very rare occurrence.
One for all of us was at St. Albans. This is a cool one. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. We were doing filming for our show, The Twisted Realm. The episode never aired. We were in alcohol recovery. And the rumor is down there they love Johnny Cash. They love listening to Johnny Cash. And for some reason, Pat Benatar. I don't get the scenario. We're playing Johnny Cash, and it was myself and Lyle having cameras. I think a few other people on the team maybe had little small independent cameras. And if you're ever inside St. Albans in alcohol recovery, it's not a big room. It's kind of like a day room with two little rooms on the side people were staying in. Then like two hallways that go kind of nowhere. We were the only ones in that part of the building. And if I'm wrong, let me know, guys. We asked, did you like that song? Or do you like Johnny Cash? And then from out of the corridor, we hear somebody yell, "No." And it wasn't like, "No," it was like, "No."
Yeah.
And you see all the
Yeah.
cameras just like shift.
Yeah,
And
that,
it took us
that's
a good,
That was good.
a
Yeah.
good 10
Yeah.
seconds to kind of factor in what happened. Then we all got up and Scooby-Dooed it down the hallway, trying to find where that sound came from, and we never found it.
Yeah.
That I mean, um, the Lizzie Borden house is. I mean, I've got I mean, as a paranormal investigator, I'll ask you guys yours, but as we always have like a bucket list of places.
Mhm.
People go, what is your bucket list of life? And I'm like, to visit as many haunted locations as possible in my lifetime. People like, you're weird, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. But yeah, no, Lizzie, the Lizzie Borden house is definitely on as one of my top 10 places that I still have to visit. I'm just getting through New York State right now. Some amazing. My friend's got a really cool location down in Lockport. Uh, if you guys are ever looking for a really nice place, a really great place to film, check those guys out. But yeah, so but voice phenomenons. I mean, those are always the things that people, they're you get your class A's, you get your class B's and class C's. Class A's are very hard to find, and what you were
Yes.
describing, Brandon, when you get the same thing over and over again with the same voice repeating itself, like that's amazing. And very, very, like, I've only seen that maybe 3 times in my whole paranormal career of being able to get that type of communication. The number one was OSR, Ohio State Reformatory. When we kept getting the same voice over and over again, because he actually, the first time I ever got threatened through a ghost box was at OSR, and it said it was going to kill us.
Ooh.
And I
can
was
believe
like,
it.
and there were so many funny stories about that I'm still trying to piece together that whole investigation. But that's for another time. So, but Brandon, I want to get your thoughts on EVPs and a technique. Like, is there, like, when you were going for an EVP session, is there something uniquely that you do yourself that seems to work every time you do an EVP session?
When it comes to techniques, I like to do two things. I like to try to, before we roll recorders, have music playing that may jar a memory, or try to set a scene that they may recognize. We do a lot of Civil War stuff here in Virginia, so we'll have Civil War music playing. We'll maybe have some canteens out, maybe some whiskey sitting on the table, a cigar or two. Make them feel relaxed. If they're relaxed, they may want to talk to you. Um,
Right.
so that works pretty good. Another thing that works pretty good for us, we've tried before, is I always call it the 2-year-old technique, where you have that 2-year-old that always wants to talk to you or doesn't want anything to do with you, but when you don't acknowledge them, they want to talk and interact. So we find that a lot of times we do our events, if we're just talking amongst ourselves and just having our own conversation, they'll creep in ever so slightly and maybe like, well, hey, you came here to talk to me. Why are you talking to each other? This is not how it's
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, no, definitely. That there, I find I've gotten some of the best evidence is like, yeah, when you are there with other people and you're just talking, you have a recorder going, they always seem to chime in because it's like, you're ignoring me. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You can get some pretty interesting conversations, and we've had recordings where they've actually joined in on their conversation to give us their 2 cents of what we're
Yeah.
talking about. But I like the fact, and I do a lot of this too, is scene setting is what I like to call. Like, if you are in a place that's known for rum running and gambling, you kind of want to have like whiskey bottles around, that type of music playing, and it kind of like I agree with you, Brandon, that it sets a mood and it kind of makes them get more want to be more of the conversation
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
Well, Lyle will tell you too, and because it's worked for us every single time we've been there.
Yeah.
There's a place called the Dunlora that would use that for an example. It used to be a speakeasy and a brothel back in the day, and we turned one of the rooms basically into like a little sitting room where we'll have jazz music playing from the 20s and 30s, and we'll have cards out. And 9 times out of 10, that music and that atmosphere will attract somebody wanting to interact. And some of the best stuff that we've captured has been doing things like that in other locations.
Right. So now I want to get your guys' opinion on this because it's like walk the line type of thing. When people go in and do reenactments at locations, like take for instance when we did Ohio State Reformatory, uh, my good friend Frank, he was a former corrections officer, worked in corrections for many years, so he knows what prisoners are like. So we did a whole reenactment, and the interaction that we got was so amazing. People have seen the footage of what we did, uh, and people will be like, "Well, that's more like provoking." But when you understand, when you're in a place and you're doing a reenactment or trying to do stuff that triggers them, and you act like them, I mean, I don't see it as provoking. I see it. This is what they know. This is how they react to situations. And in a prison, this was the scenario. I mean, they're screaming. You get yelled at. You get called names, and people be like, "But you're provoking them." No, we weren't. He was
No.
just acting like a prisoner. I want to get you guys' thoughts because, like, when you're getting ready for EVPs, it sounds like you're setting the scene. You're reenacting a time period of when they were there, so they're comfortable. But some people call it provoking. What are your guys' thoughts on provoking, or as I know what provoking is. I mean, we've
Right.
seen it.
Right.
We know a show that does it quite well, and we're not going
Right.
to mention them. But but okay, you're not going to get the reaction you want because you're basically threatening. But I want to get your guys' reaction on provoking as or um, setting up a scene or
Right.
acting like them. So
Well,
what
I
is your
know
guys' take on this?
as part of our, we don't do it as much for the Hometown Haunt series, but for Twisted Realm, we were always doing recreations. We were always doing great B-roll scenes to kind of fit with the location. Now, the filming that Brandon was talking about, it was the Twisted Realm, but we used that footage on our Hometown Haunt series because when we were at St. Albans, we recreated the suicide scene on the 3rd floor. Rebecca, correct? Am I correct? We got too many names. Rebecca.
You're good.
On the 3rd floor. So me and Brandon were filming the recreation. We had Lisa playing Rebecca. We had nurses, we had doctors, we had all kinds of stuff. And you just have to know the story of that. But the recreation was so real. It was so real that we think that Rebecca was there the whole time and she took her over.
Yeah.
Oh,
This was another situation where she pretty much, now if you go, her story is told on Destination Fear, the first season. We were a part of the St. Albans episode, and they talked to us about her scene in that. It was one of the few that you would see where we had personal interviews with them. We had no setup, no nothing. It was like on the fly. So we didn't know what they were coming at us about, but it was very interesting. But that was a recreation. We've done it at different locations, and we feel like the activity is just fits around the scenes there. What took place there? I don't
Well,
look at that as provoking.
we do it in a respectful
Yeah.
way. That's the
Yeah.
difference. We do
Yeah.
it. And when Rebecca did take me over, she didn't mean to.
Yeah.
She is not a threat. She is not. What was done to her was very sad and it hurt her. And she's looking for somebody that would just show her some empathy for what she went through. And I think what we did gave her the opportunity to find somebody that would understand her. And, you know, I talked to her, I talked her off of me, and we did a little prayer session for her. So yeah, I think it gave her a voice, actually.
Yeah.
I think
I
for
mean,
those
yeah.
for those who don't do paranormal investigations, I could see how they may think this is provoking.
Right.
But once you break down the barriers of what we're really doing, we're trying to learn history from the source. That's really what this is.
Yeah.
And it's making them feel comfortable, because if you believe in like different planes, different time sects, then we could be just the veil so thin that this is what they know. They don't know the 21st century. They don't know if we're dealing with something with the Civil War. They may not know what all this stuff is. So I could see that, if somebody that doesn't
Right.
do that all the time. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that I don't know if you guys do, but usually when I'm trying to in a location, you see a lot of people that come in and say, "Oh, come and talk to this recorder," and I'm like, You can't say stuff because they might not know what it is. You have to just say, if you can come close and talk to me and stuff like that. Like when you are talking to the other side and trying to get a response, like asking them questions about, like Brandon said, the 21st century, because I truly believe that somebody who died 100 years ago, or maybe even 200 years ago, don't see what we see nowadays. They still are stuck in their time
Their
period.
time period.
So, and I
Sure.
mean, this is how I explain to people who are not in paranormal world
Yeah.
that when you hear the phrase that you'll see an entity walk through a wall or something, I say you got to realize back when they were alive, that wall probably wasn't there. They're probably walking through a doorway of their time period. But
Yeah.
when we see it, they're
Yeah.
walking through a wall because a wall has been constructed there.
Right.
And it's trying to make people understand that you have to talk to them in such a language that they'll understand and be comfortable talking to you. You're screaming at them, you're yelling at them. I'm like, would you walk up to any stranger up on the street and start yelling and screaming at them and hoping you're going to get them to talk to you? They're going to either punch you in the face or they're going to walk away. And I said, and I have been punched by spirits. So it's there's a running joke.
Yeah.
There's a location close to me. It's one of the original train stations that was built in this area. They now have it at a museum area that we can go and investigate. And the gentleman that works in the building, who's still there, I believe he worked on the trains, he kicks and punches me every time I go into his work area. Now it's just a running joke, and if I don't get kicked or punched by him, I kind of leave there disappointed. Because I'm just like, well, maybe he doesn't like people in it, but he doesn't talk. He will not talk to me on an EVP. He will not give me.
Wow.
He's just quiet, and when I'm in there, I'll stand in the doorway and I will talk to him. And next thing you know, I will feel either a punch in my lower back or I will feel a kick in the back of my legs, and I'm like, okay, he's here. He's still alive. But I do have a picture of him.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
It was they used to have an old caboose that was a part, you can go in and you can sit down. And the really weird thing is you can go in there and you start conversations, and it started to feel like the train was moving, like it was swaying down the tracks. So this was happening to us, and I just started taking pictures of like standing at the doorway, but through the whole caboose area. And sure enough, there is a gentleman standing at the back. He's got a reddish beard, and he's wearing some old coveralls.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, I don't know if that's actually him, but I think it's like, well, Train, and he worked on Train, so I'm kind of hoping it's him. I've never been able to
That's
connect
really
the
cool.
dots to those. But
That's cool.
so Tana, I want to find out. So your, I don't mean to trigger you, but I've had very similar experience, and this is why I want to talk to you about this. But to a point where you're almost ready to leave because you've had such a traumatic experience that you wanted
Mhm.
to walk away from the field. Um, and I'm the same way. I have a hard time talking about what happened to me. I want to get your process and how you dealt with it, because somebody listening to this show now later down the road, um, I want them to be able to know that any traumatic experience they have, there is a way to overcome it. And I would like to know how you've done it. I've talked many times of how I've overdone mine, and I'm still dealing with it, and I have
Mhm.
to go back and still deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, well, first, there's no right or wrong way. I'll
Right.
say that. Um, I guess my thing is through lots of support and friends, and studying. It, I think you have to get to a point where you understand what we're dealing with to know how to deal with it, if that makes sense. I went through a period where I loved what we were doing, but it did scare me. And the fact that I have told some friends that are much more advanced that, they'll say, Tony, you need to open up more. You can do so much. You don't realize what you can do. But I still have that fear. I'm scared to. I'm still dealing with how to allow spirits to get too close
Right.
or to come in too much. Um, but the biggest thing that I have learned is I ground big time before I go into places. Um, you've got to have a clear mind. You've got to have yourself. If you go into a place with a lot of negativity or junk that's going on in your life, if you bring that in, then guess what? You're opening yourself up to a lot of junk coming at you. Um, so, pretty much just leaning on friends that understand what I'm dealing with, leaning on those people, sharing together uh, on ways to prevent it. And like I said, the grounding has been the biggest thing. Um, I'm, I believe wholeheartedly in the higher power, and I trust in Him too. I'll say a little prayer. I also learned over time, didn't know I could do this, but I will visualize. A lot of people say put a white light around you or something. I believe that whatever your protection is, it's going to show you. And mine just showed up. I started thinking, okay, I need to put a barrier up. And what came to me was they're almost like a cell door, but it's sealed all the way around. But I can literally, when I'm doing that, I can hear it almost like going boom, 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 all the way around me. So I know that my protection is up. But that has come in over time, learning. But that's what has worked for me over time. Just sharing with other people and learning is how I've done it.
Thank you for sharing that. And like I said, it is important, and people don't realize that. to have such a traumatic experience during a paranormal investigation can affect people long term.
Hmm.
And I mean, I mean, people who've been truly traumatized by paranormal experiences. It's not that easy to just go and talk to this with a doctor because I mean, first of all, I mean, psychiatrists think people like us are weird anyways who want to go talk to dead people. You know, they give
Yeah.
prescriptions for stuff like that.
Yeah.
but no, but I truly thank you for sharing that because you know it's not very often I come across people who've been truly traumatized through a paranormal experience like I have, and they don't realize like how much work you have to go through to kind of just be able to talk about it and to
Yeah.
be able to share. I mean, I find that sharing that story has helped me so much. And even so, I mean, I'm in the last steps of uh kind of working my way through it, is which I have to
Right.
go back to the location and say, you do not own me. I let this go,
Right.
just to show that it does not hold presence in my life any longer.
Yeah.
But there was a time that I had to promise I would never go back to that house again because it was too traumatic. Like even the thought about going back there scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Well, one thing I learned too, is if you start feeling like you're overwhelmed with an energy, is to say, um, gosh, how did I learn this? Um, if you are not my energy, then I release you. You go back to where you came from
right,
and push it away. I mean, these are all things, like I said, it came from a lot of years
yeah,
learning it. And like you said, I don't feel that a doctor may necessarily be able to help me, but I can tell you people that are in this field that do the same, some mediums that I'm really good friends with, really good friends with, like Kim Sage. I mean, you can learn a lot from these
yeah.
people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a medium that really saved my life after my experience because I never understood what was happening to me.
Mhm.
And, you know, but real quick here, this hour, I know we're already going to go over an hour. I hope you guys don't mind.
That's fine.
Because I want to talk about a couple of episodes from your show, Hometown Haunts. The first one that I had to watch because I'm such a UFO geek. You guys did an episode called "The Landing." I loved it. It was amazing. Uh, I I want to know a little bit more about that story because it was so fascinating. I mean, the description that you guys got from witnesses and the gentleman that helped you out with the story, like
Mhm.
9 feet tall and yards wide or something like that.
It's
Yeah.
125-foot wide, 90
Mhm.
foot tall.
90 foot tall. Like to me,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like a small town
Yes.
that
Yeah.
floating in the sky. And I mean, that's interesting. And you guys said you guys never realized it because it would happen right there in your own backyard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It's
being in Virginia, I mean, I hear there's a lot of UFO sightings up in that area because of the navy or the air bases and the military
mhm.
Mhm.
presence and stuff like
Mhm.
that. I want to know like your guys' thought about that whole thing. And anybody who has not seen the episode, I highly recommend go watch the show. It was amazing. That was one of my favorite episodes so far. So
Well, that
uh,
that that particular episode is you. It's not like really an investigative episode. It's more
right,
of a an
Document,
occurrence. You
documentary.
know, a documentary on this special occurrence because here in our area, just like we were talking about in the episode, it's like Brandon says in this little thing. It's the biggest whatever UFO story you've never heard of.
Right.
right, yeah,
Um, this is one of those cases that, to me, Project Blue Book they ran from it. They didn't want to do any more with it. They knew that, I think they knew it happened. And they just wanted to do away with it and shut it up, because that's what they were supposed to do. Shut it up,
Right.
and not let the stories keep going.
Right.
But Jake did such a great job, because he did I saw his piece on Facebook from his show that he did when he was the reporter. And we've known Jake for such a long time. And I was like, what? That's what Hometown Haunts is all about.
Right.
We do cryptid, we do UFO, we do paranormal, we do cold cases, we do it all. So this was our first chance to do UFO, and I was like, we got to have Jake tell this story. And then he knocked it out of the freaking park. And being able to build it and put it together and have all we had in it, and the great information that came, and then going out to the spot was just freaking awesome. And I mean, it's like you said, we never knew it was right there behind where I get gas every week. No idea. I had no clue. And here it is right there. So, but I mean,
I bet you don't look at that spot the same now.
Well, they're building up on it now. So it's like, the spot is disappearing. So I'm glad we documented the story before it got tore up. So, but it's crazy to think that something that big happened. The stories are believable. They really are. The occurrences, and to have Project Blue Book come into our area, I wish it was one of those ones that they would have followed, like in their stories.
Right.
But they didn't. So, but no, I know you guys can talk about it too. It was just very interesting piece. It really made me more of a believer than I really was. I stay more on the skeptical side of everything. But that was really just a fascinating story.
No, truly. And I mean, I've been a part of a UFO convention up in Michigan now for the last 3 years now. Longtime friends of mine, people that I've known for a long time, brought us on to do their event as well. I mean, I've had an experience, but that's a different story for a different time. But yeah, so I mean, the UFO thing has been taking me by storm. I mean, I want to learn so much, and when I saw that and I watched the episode, it was so well put together. The information. I mean, you kind of wish that Project Blue Book would have did a better job of preserving the story and the evidence and everything, but the area itself. Now, when you guys were up there, I wanted to ask, like, was there still, because you hear of other sites where UFOs have landed or come close to, like, there's still, like, grass doesn't grow the same way. There's spots that are bare, there's like still kind of something like still remnants of
just from the radioactivity, possibly.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard to tell. There was a lot of areas. I mean, we don't know for sure exactly the spot.
Right.
It was in that vicinity there. We don't know the exact landing spot, but I mean, it was a field. There was a lot of, there was a lot of ground that didn't have grass, but then there was a lot of grass all around us in other areas. So, it was kind of hard to really tell that. That's a good question though. But no, we didn't really notice anything out of the ordinary from it. But yeah.
Like I said, that was the first show that I watched, and like you said, I loved how much detail like everybody got into. So now it's like a story I want to know more about now.
Yes.
And I mean, I've been sending messages to all my UFO friends. I'm like, have you heard about this story? What do you know about it? You gotta tell me.
Yeah, fill you in. Fill us in. Tell us more.
Anybody out there who's watching the show knows more about the story. If you don't know the story I'm talking about, please go over to their YouTube channel or on Paraflex, watch Hometown Haunts called The Landing, and get back to me and let me know if you guys know any more details, because there's had to be, I mean, something that large had to be reported a whole lot. I mean, that's
right.
That's more than seeing a speck in the sky or a flash of light. I mean, something that big, like I said,
Mhm.
it's like a small town floating over a town.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, but anybody else want to add anything else to that story before I
Brandon?
ask you my
You know,
next
the thing about it that makes it really interesting, besides the fact that it's right in our backyard, is Roswell, the Phoenix Lights. It kind of fails in comparison to this because of how massive the structure is, and the fact that Project Blue Book essentially dropped the ball and ran away.
right?
And for them to do that, it makes you wonder what else did they uncover, what else did they find out that they just didn't want to talk about. And what gives that kind of story credence, like my favorite all-time cryptid is the Mothman, and I look at the time period. You look at the time period of people in that time period did not go to the police with these outlandish stories. This is small town Virginia. This is small town West Virginia. You just don't do that. You
Right.
know, they stayed away because they don't want to be labeled as crazy. So the
Right.
fact that people did come forward with this, I mean, there's got to be some credible, sightings there. And
Mhm.
like you said, it's something so big, you know, it has to be something to it. And the fact that Blue Book did not want to follow up with it is also pretty impressive.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and like I said, it's such a fascinating story. There's got to be more witnesses and more people that can come out and talk about this. Because, like I said,
Mhm.
I mean, I've been to some of these conventions. I've heard the stories, and it's this. You hear reports, and I hear like from the MUFON members that it's like when multiple sightings from different areas, but they all see the same thing. And I mean, like I said, something that large had to be seen by other people that day as well. And I mean, flying
Right.
over or going to and from.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
well, hands down, one of my favorite stories so far. But the one that I gotta ask next, and I just started watching it, but I haven't watched the end of it, is the Beasts of Elkhorn Lake.
That's the
Now,
one that started it all.
Yeah.
there we go. All right, cool.
It
So
started it
Did.
all.
now I need
We
to know more backstory about this. I mean, you guys can ruin the plot for me. I know there's got to be a Bigfoot in there somewhere, and if
well,
there's not, I'm
if
very disappointed.
yeah, if you watch the beginning of it, we're featuring Daniel Benoit, who's one of our biggest UFO people. I mean, not UFO, Bigfoot people here in the Virginia area. I mean, he's very big, very well known, and and we reached out to him because he had been talking. It seemed where he had been talking about a story of his out at Elkhorn Lake. So we said, "Why don't you come, tell us your story, and then." Can you take us out here? Maybe we'll do a little Bigfoot hunting with you and see what it's like. But we want to approach it because I've always felt like I want to approach it from our side. I want to approach it from the paranormal side.
Mhm.
And you approach it from your Bigfoot side. We're going to approach it from the paranormal side. And let's see what happens here. Okay.
Right.
And that's how we approach the whole thing. Now, of course, you see, we're going through the woods a lot. He's showing us a lot of things. It really gets very good when we get back in the camp.
Mhm.
Now, that's where everything really, and to me, our highlights were back when we were back in the camp.
Yeah.
We had paranormal equipment going off. We had Brandon brought out some music, some space NASA music. Because when I think of, the shirt you're wearing, Bigfoot, and when I think about it, my thought is I come from a possible connection between UFO Bigfoot. That's my thought.
Right.
And of course, everybody has their own. There's the people that just believe it's a big hairy beast, but there's a lot to this thing. There's the lights you see.
Right.
How are they able to cloak and disappear like they do?
Right.
That's my thoughts. I mean, it's just so intriguing to me that I'm ready to do more. I want to keep going in it and keep going. But when Brandon played the music, and all of a sudden when it got quiet, everything went quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it got just like you hear it all, everything got so quiet. and it was almost like you could hear we were being circled.
Oh, you could feel them.
They were around us, and you could feel the energy come in the camp
Yeah.
that we were in. I mean, the meters were going crazy. You could feel the energy just coming right in on us, and it's like they're here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't see them,
Right.
but they're here.
Right.
So they were curious about us, and like we were curious about them. So, you know, that's I get chills talking about it right now, because it was just, I told it in the thing, when we're out in the woods at night, that's the freakiest point. That's when I'm scared.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that really scares me is the woods at night.
Yeah.
But it was great that night, I can tell you that. So
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good possibility that it could be alien, but I also come from, like you said, the paranormal side, and I have wondered if it could be elemental.
mm-hmm.
I mean, like he said, how can it disappear like it does? Whether it's going invisible, whatever it's doing. So I don't think it's just a hairy beast. I don't.
Yeah.
I think there's way too much that leans whether he is alien, whether it's elemental. Yeah, but that night they will tell you. Well, I hate the woods because I am like, probably one of my biggest fears are snakes. I am petrified of them. So I almost had a full-blown anxiety attack on the way.
She did.
I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
But once we got into that campsite, man, I had the best time. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like them. I'd like to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, it's not going to be spring and summer. It's going to be when it's cooler and I don't have to worry so much about these little critters. But I would do it again too. It was very freaky.
Yeah. So what was your thoughts, Brandon?
You know, when it comes down to it, we decided when we found out we were going to do a Bigfoot hunt. Let's take our paranormal aspect and take it to the woods. Us as paranormal investigators, we're used to walls. Our big fear is homeless people inside the building, or, you know, walking too far in this old dilapidated jail and falling through the roof.
Yeah.
That's our fear. Our fear is not a, 9-foot tall, 500-pound beast chasing us through the woods like a Scooby-Doo. That's not what we're used to. But the thing about it is, when we got out there, things did happen. Our equipment did pick up. We got an EVP, which you'll hear in the show. Our meters went off. Elkhorn Lake is also reportedly haunted as well.
Right.
So when it comes to what Bigfoot is, I do believe in the elemental thing. I do believe in the UFO thing. Another theory that I started kind of talking to myself with and believing here lately is, what if these creatures existed a long time ago? And the reason we don't capture them is because they don't exist now.
Right.
There's a rip in time. Maybe they're still roaming where our time veils are so thin. Maybe we're just catching glimpses of these things and they're leaving physical imprints, but then that veil, zips back up.
Right.
I will say, when it comes to Bigfoot, I'm more of a UFO person than I am cryptid. I do love my cryptids, like my Mothman and all that stuff. But when it comes to UFOs, that's where I'm definitely interested. Because if you think that we're the only logical beings in the universe, and come on, man, broaden your eyes a little bit. Walk into Walmart at 3 o'clock in the morning and tell me we're the smartest creatures in the world. That is not how it is. But no, it was very interesting, and this was one of the first times, and I don't know about you guys, where I did not know what to expect. Usually you go to a haunted location. You go to a haunted location, you kind of, okay, I may hear a door close, it may be the building settling, I may hear a jail cell at OSR. Like, we're in the woods in the dark. I'm more afraid of what's not Bigfoot than if Bigfoot. Then the thought occurred, what if he does show up? What next?
Yeah.
What are we gonna do next?
Yeah.
We provoked his ass for like the last hour. Now what's gonna happen? Come and play cards with us.
But
like,
we did hear
happen?
things.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you're right. We heard knocks. We heard whoops
Mhm.
back, which you'll hear in the episode, and something responded back to us.
Yeah.
And it was definitely eerie. And like you said, when I played those sounds, basically it's the sounds NASA recorded of planets moving in space, sounds of space. And it got dead quiet. All the creatures of the night stopped,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just dead silence.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I think the scariest thing, remember, guys, when we were packing up, the scariest thing of the whole night,
Oh yeah.
and this was not paranormal, was there was a campsite right beside us, and some truck came flying by and shot a gun right into that campsite. That was scary. That was scary. We were like, pack up, we're out. We were gone.
I won't leave at the sight of a Bigfoot, but I'll leave at the sight of a gun.
Yes, that's
Right.
No, I mean, I'm all over the place. The one thing that I do have a theory on is the paranormal, the ghost side, the cryptid side, and the alien side are all connected in some way, somehow, in some form, because it is. I mean, it's what the paranormal umbrella is all about. It's all of the above. It's not just about ghosts. And the interesting thing that came across to me was my good friend RJ pointed out to me, and I still hate him to this day because he pointed this out to me. Was I've been a paranormal investigator for close to 20 years now. And the one thing he said to me one day was, "Are you sure all your EVPs are ghosts and they're not aliens talking to you?" And I was like, "God damn it, RJ." Now I have to go back through 20 years worth of evidence to see, does it sound ghostly or does it sound alien like? Because I never thought of that before.
Yeah.
It's one of those
Right?
deep conversations you have with your buddies at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, the ones that we find that are I tell a lot of my normal friends, if you were with me at an event and you and you just stood by a table and listened to us talk and how we think this is a normal conversation, you would think we were the weirdest people on earth and that we all need to be locked up, because just that, it's like, are you sure it's a ghost or was it an alien voice? Well, now we have to now we have to dissect this. And the craziest talk we ever had was 2 years ago at the UFO Contact Convention in Michigan. We were all sitting there, my best friend Michael John, and we were just sitting there, and then people started joining us, and he comes up with the weirdest things. He goes, "Scenario: who would win in a fight, a Bigfoot or a Dogman?" Well, wouldn't you know, that conversation, what we thought was going to be a 10-minute conversation, we closed down the bar with that talk. We had more people at our table talking about who would win in a fight, a Dogman or a Bigfoot. And I mean, Michigan is known for their Dogman, so this is why the conversation. And I mean, of course, we had one Bigfoot expert there, Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And of course, he was nowhere to be found because we needed his expert opinion on this. But that was, like I said, it's just conversations like that we have. And it's just like, who would really talk about these things in a normal world? Like sitting at a coffee shop going, "Oh, yeah, by the way, did you, an alien voice, do you think they can come through as an EVP? Go." But now it makes me more open when I'm out on investigations. It's like, what really would stop an extraterrestrial or an alien trying to communicate with us, and we're just passing it off that it is a ghost or an entity or a spirit who is talking to us, because obviously they're just as intelligent, if not more far intelligent than anybody. That Oh yeah, I can understand what they're talking about, so I'm going to put in a blurb there. I'm
When
like,
we go to a haunted location, when you do a ghost hunt, what's one of the first things you say? Is there anybody here? Would you like to talk to me? What is your name? We never direct the questions to, are there any spirits here? What are spirits? What's the realm of spirits? You know, you're opening the door, and Lord knows what door you're opening up. And really, if you look about it, haunted locations, if you're a fan of Pokemon, it's like Pokemon Go. You know, it's these little antennas pop up. All right, well, they want to talk. All right, it's time. The door is open. Who wants to talk? Who wants to come through?
Right.
And who's to say our voices can't reach up above? It's
Uh,
nothing's off the table.
Absolutely. Guys, I know we're past the hour here, but I've got just one thing left to ask you guys before we head off the air. I want each one of you guys, somebody who's new coming into the paranormal field. Actually, I got two questions left. We'll answer this one first. New people coming into the paranormal field, I want you to give somebody some advice. Do's, don'ts, whatever. I mean, I know everybody does things their own way, but what would be one best advice you guys would give somebody coming into this field?
Lyle, you go ahead.
That's a good one.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of people that come into this field come in here so serious about it. Come in and enjoy it. Learn about it.
Mhm.
Give it people like that enjoy what they do, that would be willing to work with you, just like us. I mean, the same thing. Be willing to work with you and show you things. I know when we first started out, you spend so much money on stuff,
Yeah.
on gadgets, you know. Now I can understand with our event company the gadgets we use now because people like seeing the lights, they like seeing the stuff going off, you know. But anymore, when we investigate, we very seldom use a whole lot of stuff anymore. We use more senses and more of that, and little our own little trigger objects that we use. Just be creative. Be creative. I mean, you hear everybody copy each other all the time. And that's my thought. Just have fun and be creative. Your way, you never know. You might bring a new way
Yeah.
to something.
Yeah. Don't come into this expecting something to happen every minute that you're there in every single location. Because if you do, you're going to be disappointed.
Absolutely.
So do not come in with an open mind. Like I said a minute ago, a clear, open mind. Come in, have fun. I had something else and now it just went. But those are the main things.
Yeah.
Come in with an open mind. If you are sensitive, protect yourself, ground yourself. If you don't know anything about doing that, find someone that is seasoned that could help you with that.
True. I would say the two biggest things, if you're coming into this field, number one, develop the thickest skin you could ever develop.
Yeah, true.
Because no matter what you do, what you capture, what you see, you experience, you smell, you feel, there's going to be somebody out there. It's going to be their job is to disprove everything that you've ever experienced. And if you post things online, be ready. Because there's always going to be the sea of people, the keyboard warriors waiting just to knock you down a peg or two. Know what you experienced, own to it, and just develop that thick skin. And number two, never be afraid to say this is beyond me. Especially if you do residentials, especially if you do locations where it may be something a little bit darker, and somebody asks you for help. Never be afraid to say, well, this is kind of beyond me. Let me find somebody for you. Because we have a good friend of ours in Mechanicsville. His name is Dennis Eslock. And he's usually the person we turn to when things are a little bit heavier. And because he has more experience with that. Network. Find friends. Because friends are good things to have in the paranormal field. And it's always good to say, hey, I can't help you, but I can find somebody that can.
We see these new people just about every event that we do with Haunted Nights Paranormal Events. We have people that have never done this before come in.
Yeah.
And to see and we basically tell them what you bring in the door is what you get. If you bring happiness in, more than likely we're gonna have a great night. But if you bring a lot of negative energy in, you may as well go on home because they're not going to respond or do anything. Yeah. It's what you bring to it. That and with our events, and I would thank anybody that's been to our events, that's what we preach every time before we get started, and especially with a lot of the new people, And by the time they leave that night, they've had such a great
Yeah.
experience
Mm-hmm.
because the happier you are
Yep.
and not challenging, they're going to respond,
Mhm.
you know, if they want to. So I think that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's like Lyle said, the lighter side of paranormal investigating. You don't always ask, how did you die? You know that you're dead. Tell them a joke. You'd be surprised how many times just a stupid dad joke will get some of the best reactions. You know, and like when you come to our events, or our public ghost hunt, I always say that we're the Olive Garden of the paranormal. When you're here, your family. And, you know, we make sure that if it's your first time or if it's your millionth time at a haunted location, you're going to have the best experience you possibly can. Ghost, there's no such thing as ghost on demand, but as long as you have a good time, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And that is great advice. Like I said, but the number one thing I always tell people, don't get into the paranormal if you're expected to be rich and famous, because there's no
Oh,
money
yeah.
to be made in this world. There's only one person that's figured that out, and God bless him. But at the same time, not everybody can be like him.
Right. You're right.
So, guys, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Lyle.
Thank you.
Tonna,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon, Hometown Haunts crew. Guys, thank you so much. If you guys are on Paraflix, check them out there, or go over to their YouTube site and see their videos. Catch up what these guys are doing. Next time I'm in Virginia, I hope I can catch up with you guys, hang out a little bit, because I would
Definitely. Let us know.
I would love to hang out with you guys and go on an investigation or something.
Absolutely.
But guys, thank you so much. That's going to do it for
you.
me right here at the Paranormal Voice. I appreciate everybody from day one to day now. We appreciate you. Thank you guys all so much for watching. We will be back again soon with another brand new episode of the Paranormal Voice. In the meantime, and in between time, I like to say is happy hauntings.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank y'all.